Alright, I got some tips for everyone regarding the new bounty hunter business. This business is a little bit more involved than some other ones we've seen, so hopefully these can help you along with your hunting. Real quick, I do want to say I'm very close to 15,000 subscribers, so if that interests you, hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching my video, and let's get started. First tip is to drive literally anything else besides the van to your location. Pretty sure everyone has said this already, but the bounty hunter van is very slow and unnecessary until your bounty's captured, so there really is no point of wasting time when you could be using something like a Raiju or a helicopter to get there. And the bounty van will always automatically respawn when the target is captured, so keep that in mind. Tip number 2 is when driving the van back to your bail bond office, especially on highways, face your camera backwards to stop cars spawning in front of you. The van is big and the steps on the side can get caught on things, so having no traffic in front of you can speed things up a nice amount. Once you do get into the city, it is a little harder driving backwards, but on the highways, to keep your maximum speed, it's pretty helpful. Sadly, if you are driving with other players, they will also have to face backwards, and if you're in a public session, I'm not sure how reliable this will be, but in invite only, it works wonders. Tip 3, and this can go for many other things as well, where you're being chased by enemies and vehicles. After you secure the target, sometimes you'll get chased by some enemies. If you kill the chasers, eventually they'll respawn and another wave of 3 or so vehicles will chase you again, but leaving at least one vehicle chasing you will stop them from respawning, and if the tires are shot, it's pretty difficult for them to catch up to you. Even though these enemies aren't a huge threat, they can be very annoying, especially if they start spawning in front of your van. Tip number 4 is to top up your snacks in the office, of course. There's a nice big bowl of free snacks for you right on that table, and I always use it before my missions. There's really nothing worse than running out of healing supplies mid-combat. Tip number 5 is that agents will speed up your processing time of secured targets. Does this mean that it's worth it to buy them? Absolutely not, and I am really starting to hate these guys for how little money they bring back. Having 0 agents will make the processing time take 24 minutes, 1 agent will bring that down to 12, and 1 more will cut it in half again for 6 minutes. All this does is reduce the time between dropping off the suspect at the station and your money in the bank. Since you're already limited to 3 targets per hour, plus the daily one if it's available, it's not like you can overfill your cells. So really, unless you're super impatient with getting paid, it's not too worth it. Number 6 is to remember that there is secondary loot in the high value target missions worth an extra $5,000. In my opinion, this stuff should get a buff because it's really not worth going out of your way from the job to get it. Only $5,000, I'd expect at least 10, but Rockstar has not been very generous this update, and if you're trying to get the job done as quick as possible, it can take a little while to find it. But during my first 2 high value targets, I completely missed these, so in case it does get a buff, remember that they are there. Tip number 7 is that leaving mid-mission has no side effects, so if you do end up killing the target, it may be worth it to switch to another session and try again for full payment. If you happen to have the living quarters in your office and set your spawn point there, it can be very quick. Sadly, it seems that relaunching the mission won't change the location of the target every time, but there is a small chance it'll change, and maybe it might be closer. Tip number 8 is that main targets will have extra health and can take lots of bullets to the body, giving you plenty of chances to disarm them. So as long as you never hit the head or use explosives like grenades or RPG rockets, which I've found to be pretty lethal, you should be good. I'd recommend using weapons that are more accurate than damaging, and since you only need to disarm them, it should only take you a couple shots. But I do appreciate Rockstar adding this mechanic since killing your bounty is a pretty big hit to your payment. Number 9 is that the Paleto location isn't worth it for your missions. At first I thought, since nearly all of my bounties are in Paleto Bay, might as well move the business there. Sadly, the places are just flipped, and now if you own the Paleto office, you'll be getting more missions in the city. So since you deal with driving across the map in the van no matter what, the Paleto location might be worth it if you want to save money. Fuck off. However, it is pretty far away from my other businesses, so I still choose the Mission Row location. And finally, number 10 is that stealth does not matter at all. The cameras outside the biker clubhouses won't change anything about the missions if they detect you. Disabling the power box and entering is exactly the same as running past the cameras, getting detected and entering. The only time stealth will matter is during the high value target missions, and even then it's still not very necessary. And I just want to sneak this one in the end here. These bounty targets are separated into 6 different types of missions split between 18 targets. The Korean mob, which are always the bank robbery missions, Ballas are always the prison bus escapes, street punks always have the CCTV mission, biker chicks are always in the clubhouse, corporate looking women or the rich females are always destroying the house's assets, and the Duggins are always in the arcades. If you prefer certain missions over others, keep this in mind and you can avoid the ones you don't like. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the biker or Duggan missions because of the invisible walls and stuff I can't shoot through. But that's it for my tips for the new business in Los Santos. Hope you guys enjoyed and found some of this helpful. Subscribe if you want to see more, leave a like if you enjoyed of course, and I'll see you all later.